In this high-tech world of plastic, glass, and steel, wood products remain one of the most environmentally sustainable materials known to man. It's a product you can literally grow. It's durable, pliable, renewable, and can be used in a multitude of forms, from building to playgrounds, insulation to tools, and yes, even to grow other things. It takes a singular breed of entrepreneur to brave the elements and take on the world market, bring wood products to your shelves, and even help put the roof over your head.
We have great people working here at Spray Lake Sawmills, and there's an energy about this place. I love it. There's so many things happening. There's log trucks coming in loaded, there's lumber trucks going out loaded, all kinds of other things happening. It's pretty amazing. That's why you have a couple hundred busy people here organizing and making it all run like a well-oiled machine.
But it's an industry that has to weather the popular misconceptions about logging and struggles to get its message of sustainable forestry out to a skeptical public. We'll meet these people and learn about their legacy and their future in this episode of The Entrepreneurs.
It takes guts to achieve glory, drive, determination, and the courage to take risks when no one else will. Innovators, trailblazers, and pioneers of industry don't hear the naysayers. Their heads are in the game, even when the playing field doesn't exist. They have the focus to keep their eyes on the prize, the steadfast belief in the dream, and the willpower to make it happen. These are the Entrepreneurs.
All of us use a lot of wood, a lot more. It's so common that I don't think we often stop to think about it, but we all live in wooden houses, for example, and we have wooden furniture in our house, we have wooden floors in our house, we write on paper that comes from the forest, we use a pencil that came out of the forest, and the good news is it's sustainable.
It's one product that blends the skills of business, commodities, marketing, innovation, as well as intelligent stewardship of the land and conservation. This week, we go behind the scenes of one of Canada's most respected sawmills. Spray Lake Sawmills has been manufacturing forest products for use throughout Canada and abroad since 1943. What started as one man's vision has grown into a leader in the forestry industry and a vital part of the community.
Because of the way they handle their business, they have done an incredible job of making Cochrane, I guess, not even realize that at the center of our hub we have a sawmill.
We have, dads that are working here now. Their children are growing and up and wanting to work at Spray Lakes, and so again that part kind of just fits into the tradition.
But nothing can stop the march of time, and Spray Lake has to adapt to a fast-paced world market.
So if we ship down there, our wholesalers will look after that, right?
That's always the guessing game now, and there's no question of not doing it. They will slap a duty on us.
I'm checking that against the LRF and see how we're putting through the foreign exchange for the purchases in the month.
But the challenge for Spray Lake is how to grow while protecting the all-important forest.
The forest is our future, and if we don't have a healthy forest, we absolutely do not have a business.
When you're in the forest industry, you're in for the long haul. We plan out starting at 200 years, and we kind of bring that into, 100-year, 50-year, 20-year plans.
Our company has been around now just shy of 75 years, and that could never have happened if we had not been managing the forest.
There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the forest industry. The main one is that it depletes our most precious resource, the forest.
A lot of the misconception is they don't know we plant trees.
Because at the end of the day, if we don't have a healthy forest, we don't have a business.
It all starts with some simple logic. Imagine if you were a small farmer. You have a plot of land. This plot of land will stay the same size, no more, no less. Much like farmers, a sawmill has a finite amount of trees. If they don't care for the land or the forest, they will be out of business.
We are modeling sustainability to ensure that our harvest levels match up with how fast the forest is growing.
Let's pretend this represents the forests of southern Alberta. Of that forest, 70% of that forest is in parks and protected areas.
So what you're saying is this area of the forest will never have any timber harvesting?
That's correct. Of that 30%, we have further set-asides for things such as stream-side buffers, unique areas that have, say, special ecological values. Of the 20% of the forest that's remaining, we will harvest 1% of that 20% on an annual basis. And we'll follow up that 1% harvesting with prompt reforestation.
So to put this in perspective, this is the amount of forest we harvest on an annual basis. And the good news is this beautiful forest will be here 100 years from now as healthy as it is today.
So, the number of trees will never change. Much like a farmer working on the same plot of land over generations, seeing multiple healthy crops, but rather than a season that lasts 1 year, the season for an average forest plan is over 100 years, and Spray Lake plans ahead for a staggering 2 centuries. The forest will always remain the same amount of trees. In fact, the forest is actually growing.
So we replant 2 trees for every 1 that we harvest. So that meant that last year we planted almost 75 million trees in this province, and we look to do that again this year. We also have a requirement to go back and ensure those trees are doing well. And sometimes we even have to thin them out, they're doing so well.
And you know, you just think back 100 years in the past and what we were like back then. We didn't have airplanes, we didn't have computers, we barely had the automobile. It was a different world, and we are now looking 200 years into the future for our forest.
Planning for the future includes ensuring the cut areas or cut blocks follow organic shapes with natural islands and contours.
We've moved to developing a block pattern that more resembles what a forest fire would leave after it's gone through. A lot of benefit to having those irregular boundaries for wildlife and those types of things.
After the trees are harvested, the trees are processed stump side, leaving branches, needles, and cones to form a rich, complicated forest bed perfect for new growth and animals.
We find there's a lot of ecological benefit to processing the trees at the stump. You'll notice here all the cones are all left out in the block so that then the seeds can then fall directly onto the soil. The seed comes out of those cones and starts to reforest the area naturally. We also collect a bunch of cones and grow those seedlings in a nursery, and then we return those seedlings back into that same harvest area to supplement the natural trees that are growing on site. So we are maintaining all the same natural genetic diversity out there.
The tree logs are gathered up by a skidder, so named because it drags the logs, skidding them across the ground.
After these guys are done their work, we'll bring our log haul crew in. The logs are then loaded onto trucks, taken into Cochrane to the mill. And again, a lot of this wood will decompose. You've got all the needles, all the woody material, that's all going to break down, go back into the soil, recreate those nutrients. The young seedlings that'll grow up in here, they'll be shielded a little bit from the Chinook winds so that they can actually put down their roots. And when we reforest the block and plant the trees, the planters will actually look for spots like this in behind this woody debris, and we call it an obstacle plant. And once we do our reforestation activity, we're not in there with herbicides or pesticides, those kinds of things that would limit some of the natural vegetation. We just let the forest then develop in a more natural wild state. It'll grow, it'll replenish, and this is part of the future forest that we're seeing here.
We harvest it within the province under 1% of the forest resource. So you can see it's a resource that will be there forever, and it's in our interest for that resource to be there forever and for all Albertans.
It's quite the art transporting these logs safely through steep logging roads, mud and ice, day and night. An hour away, the logs are delivered to Spray Lake Sawmills.
That's the kind of timber really just fits right into what we do here.
Really, the wood is the lifeblood of the operation. If we don't have wood, we don't have the operation.
Morning, Arnold.
Morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good. John's going to take a break here, so I'm going to take the cat. All my short log trucks are in, so I'll unload our truck up here on the landing.
Perfect. That's excellent.
I don't know, it's always fascinated me. They're big, they're powerful, and everybody wants to do it, but not everybody gets to. My dad died when I was 2.5, but before he died, he ran what's called a fellow buncher, and that's the machine that actually falls the trees, and then this is a bit of a stage down the road, but that's what he loved to do, and kind of feel like this is his legacy, and it's in my blood. I want to do it because he did it. It's a big step, and a lot of guys I know look up to it. I mean, 15 feet in the air, you gotta look up to something, right?
All the lumber that we produce comes through this here machine center right here. So it's really important that he's engaged and sharp and maintains a steady flow. So the reason why this machine is called the canter, it takes a round log and it turns a square. As soon as you get a square log, it's now called a cant. Once we get a square log, now we can cut it into the proper board products that we need to achieve there.
Logs are put into a chute and start their journey to become lumber.
So the logs are coming down this here belt, and then from here they're going to be going to get a process inside.
Big logs are scanned by computer, which decides how best to make the most lumber out of these irregular shaped logs. Could be a dozen 2x8s, 3 2x4s, some paneling.
All logs don't grow nice and straight. But this here machine is going to turn that log so we can get the most volume out of it. Sometimes I just stand up here and look at it and I can't believe that it does what it does.
Technology allows computer processing these days to do thousands of computations and find the absolute best fit for the log that's being presented to it in the sawmill manufacturing side.
This is the machine that's doing all the magic. It's taking that round log and it's making it nice and square so we can now utilize it to make the lumber out of it. That scanner then tells the trimmer what length to cut the boards at.
So after the sawmill makes the lumber, we have to dry it before we can go through the finishing process. So that's what's happening over there. What we're evaluating for is strength, because all of our lumber is graded according to a structural standard. It will identify knots, it'll identify any splits or breaks in the piece. We've actually printed a number on it, an ID number on every single piece as they go through. So we can find a piece that if it's off grade, we can come back and determine why it graded it the way it did and hopefully correct them.
You guys are insane.
We try to be. This is the grade ID number, so this is our mill number, AFPA 88 or Alberta Forest Products number 88, and the HT is our grade, so this is an economy piece of wood. This lumber here today, it's going to go and get treated in our treating plant.
Well, you ever wonder where your friends get their pressure treated decks? Well, this is where we do it. This here's the chamber where we pressure treat the wood, and the white wood comes in, we put it under high pressure, and then the chemicals pushed into the wood. All the chemicals are recycled and used again over and over, whether it be in the drip pads or when we open the door, they're all recycled.
Stuff out, right?
Yeah, now we got the sienna brown. And this is treated just as good as the green. This is going to be a game changer. This brown is going to take over the green. And made in Canada, baby. This product's made here at Spray Lake Sawmills. Our product, one of the few plants in Western Canada that are running it right now, and it's ours, and it's beautiful.
And what about the leftover bits? The smaller tops of the trees are used for things like fence posts.
Farmer's love. That's your thing in, and we're using 100% of the tree.
And all that bark and shavings are gathered up for further processing.
This mill was built on the premise that we will utilize 100% of the product. And that was an uphill climb. We had to go out and create our own markets. We developed a division of the company called Top Spray, so we now use absolutely 100% of every tree that comes into the yard.
I think the most intriguing part about using this material is that it's 100% utilization, what we used to call sawmills waste, and we're able to take and make it into a marketable product. What you see here is a hose that's used to take the mulch from the truck to the guys at the end of the hose.
Right from completing rooftop gardens to landscape to eco blankets to erosion control. It's just amazing, the vision, and it really kind of helps diversify the business.
It's pretty awesome what we can do with a wood waste and turn it into a marketable product.
Without the machinery being taken care of, the plant doesn't run. Same as throughout the whole sawmill, every 5 hours the saws are changed in all the machine centers. They don't have a 12-hour run, so we're in there every half a day on it.
You can see why safety is important.
Absolutely, it's a very complex organization. There's a lot of activities here, right from the stump, right through the process here with manufacturing lumber. Certainly a lot of hazards that we have to control and manage.
So there's over 300 families that depend on this as a principal source of income. And so that's a big responsibility we have we have some excellent people, and we feel a huge responsibility to treat those people fairly and to keep them working and keep their paycheck coming in.
From 200-year plans to a computerized factory, all of this doesn't come cheap. It will take everything the management team has to keep Spray Lake viable.
So we logged this area, I think, back in, I don't know, the late 70s, Dad. Look at these trees. Probably more wood growing right now than there was when you started. Way back 75 years ago. Yeah. I think my father started out kind of out of a necessity and need to make a living to feed his family. His dad died when he was very young, age 12. And that was right in the middle of the Depression, and so they really had to scramble just to keep food on the table. And he went out and bought a patch of timber, and his uncle, who was a blacksmith, helped him build a sawmill, and that's how they got their start into the business. So when did you start sawing lumber, roughly? 43, yeah.
I found this piece of timber we liked, and way up on the head of Spray. Oh man, it was good timber, nice big spruce. Tall, straight, had to come up for sale. But I never had any money. I only had the old Model E and $250, and they wanted a pretty good deposit. So my mother scraped up $500 to loan me.
So you were logging with horses then, Dad? And
yeah, we cut everything with a crosscut saw.
Oh, okay.
Fell the trees and knocked them up with a sweet saw.
All by hand?
Something like that.
Amateurs, that's pretty good. But could you imagine cutting 100 trees down like that and then bucking them to length? My first job in the bush when I was a kid, I was probably 14 years old. I never forget, I got 10 cents a tree to knock the limbs off with an axe.
You guys got it pretty easy.
So I'm telling you, the history of it, in order to get to build this company that we've built in Cochrane, there's been some hardship, there's been some hard times, and we have really had to put our neck on the line. And all you guys stuck with us through those tough times, and I'm telling you, there's a huge amount of our employees have been with us over 20 years. That means a lot, it really does. That's how you build a successful company.
I've been the most fortunate man. The good Lord's been so good to me all the years in the bush. A couple of times I should never have been here because of accidents.
Absolutely. I know you've had a strong faith, and because of that I've had a strong faith, and I know that's where our help comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Staying true as a company means to maintain the balance between business and values. Values that are passed on to the next generation who are drawn back to the forest.
What are you doing over there today? You worked down in the mill for a little bit too.
Yeah, I worked there for about a month.
Right. So did you like it there?
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I liked it there.
Just start at the bottom, and I started out picking up sticks out in the yard, and then you work your way through, and that's kind of how you earn your stripes.
In the end, this is what it's all about. Traditions and values that are passed on.
I think you all know we like to award excellence in everything we do, and so we created this Chester Melsness Award.
Life's so much easier now, I only yell at it once a month.
John Duckett.
John Duckett.
Good to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you.
But it seems that some traditions take on a life of their own.
some people might find surprising is just actually how much plaid we really do wear at the office.
Now, aren't you glad you're actually hip?
Yeah, I might be in it long enough to hit another cycle.
It's a lumberjack thing.
Yeah, you'll notice,
Yeah, we do.
I think we've been wearing this stuff for years, and long before it became urbanly fashionable, we've been right on the program for a long time.
I'm wearing plaid today too, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and I'm wearing plaid so I can blend in.
all season to wear that thing.
Spray Lakes, as I said, is an amazing corporate business in Cochrane. They get involved in the community.
We're really proud to be a part of it and to be able to serve the community with hot dogs.
Really kind of holds true to the family values of Spray Lake Sawmills.
It's about the sawmilling industry, but it's also very much about the people.
The one that I always love to talk about, of course, is Spray Lake's Family Sports Center. So Barry donates so much to this community.
We're really happy to be able to present you with a check today to help replace this floor. So
thank you. Thank you isn't enough.
There's not many like her. She's worked tirelessly her whole life giving back, and so it's great to be a part of that. What, 3 million trees last year we planted? That's
3 million.
That's a lot of trees, isn't it? You know, I think the Alberta industry planted something like 70 million trees or whatever last year, so it's a lot of trees. Right there. That's right there, where a deer probably spent the night there, or a moose or something. Probably a deer. Look at how great it looks now.
Yeah. It's healthy and growing.
Like most things, it's easy to take something that's used everywhere for granted. But a special breed of entrepreneurs make sure that they never forget that their success comes from the forest, and that they have a commitment to ensuring that legacy continues.
Most of the fellas in the office, they wear plaid all the time. I do not know why.
Do you want to see the back?
Yeah, sure.
And this is just a great treat.
Spray Lake!